Heidi ho, everybody. Good evening. Welcome to a Thursday edition with Ms. Demeanor. I am ever so grateful that you chose to come to my channel and hang out for a little while tonight. It is Thursday night football, so this can be your pregame show, I suppose. That's how I'm looking at it. Couple of things I did want to go over before we dig into the Grant Solomon case. I know there isn't a lot of visibility about this case, unfortunately. I'm hoping to change that a little bit and get a little bit more dialogue about it. But I wanted to give a quick synopsis and update on some other cases that I have been following. Hello, Sarah Ellen. Happy Thursday to you as well. Thanks for joining us this evening. First one on my list, Ryan Ruth. Ryan Ruth is still going through the federal trial. And if you're not familiar with who Ryan Ruth is, this is the individual that attempted to assassinate President Trump on the golf course last year. He is representing himself. The prosecution is continuing on with their case, and I haven't seen a ton of updates about it other than they're progressing nicely. Next on my list, Barry Morphew. I know I talked about Barry Morphew. I think it was last week. He had a reduction or an adjustment in his bond. Barry Morphew is accused of and being charged with the murder of his wife, Suzanne Morphew, on Mother's Day in Colorado. While the judge did admit and agree to different bond terms, unfortunately, it doesn't appear that Barry has been able to post bond at this point. So he is still indeed behind bars. Next one on my list, Mickey Steins. This is the case out of Kentucky in which Mickey Steins is the sheriff that went into the judge's chambers and shot him in the judge's chambers. The Commonwealth of Kentucky is requesting a venue change based on too much local understanding and involvement on everything. They are also requesting a secondary psychological evaluation. It appears that when Mickey was taken into custody, he was in the middle of a psychotic break and didn't understand where he was. He didn't understand who he was talking to or what was going on. He literally was not connected to reality. There was a psychological evaluation done at that time, but now the Commonwealth is requesting another psychological evaluation be done. So that's where we are on that. I haven't heard an answer on the venue change or even if there will be a secondary psychological evaluation for him. Next on my list, Alexei Treviso. This is the young lady who was in the hospital, excused herself, delivered a baby in the bathroom, and put it in the trash. What is happening with that case is it was up for appeal on whether the body cam footage in the hospital room would be admissible. The question being, did she feel like she could leave the hospital? Did she feel like she was in custody at the time she was answering questions to medical personnel? And so that I have not seen an answer on either, but it is still pending. Next case, Zachary Adams. Zachary Adams is in prison right now for the unaliving of Holly Bobo in Tennessee. He's been behind bars for quite some time. He's requesting a new trial based on prosecutorial misconduct. And I have to say, I watched some of the hearing, and I never, ever say this, but I think there's a possibility that that could actually take place. I think it's possible that there is enough craziness that was going on. I think he's also arguing ineffective counsel, and I think there's a very strong, strong case for him when it comes to ineffective counsel as well, based on the testimony that I heard and saw in the hearing with regard to him getting a new trial. Laken Snelling. Laken Snelling is the University of Kentucky cheerleader who hid her pregnancy and delivered a baby and put it in a blanket in her closet. This is a relatively recent case. I can tell you with that one, there is a hearing next week. I have every plan of watching it, getting information on it. I don't know how much there will be because it's pretty early on. So I don't know. It's just a pre-trial hearing. I don't think there's been a trial date set. None of that has happened. So we should get a little bit more of the details once we get into that particular hearing. It ought to tell us a little better on the time frame. Lastly, before I get into Grant Solomon, is Martha Nolan. I am still following that case. That is out of the Montauk area. This is the woman who was found on the, what do you call it when you have boats, the marina and it's not a dock, but you all get the idea what I'm talking about. She was found there, and they don't think there are any signs of foul play. However, we're all just pending the toxicology at this point, and there really hasn't been anything released as far as if there were any other physical issues with her. They have not released details about her autopsy at all. So sorry to waste your time with all of the status on all of that, but I did want to at least give an update on the things that I am following and will continue to follow. So let's get into Grant Solomon. I am going to hopefully be able to share this properly so everyone can see. This was an article that was written by ID Crime Feed. And it is What Happened to Grant Solomon. Loved ones believe the teen baseball star's tragic death may have been murder. Aaron Solomon would be Grant's father, believes it was a freak accident that resulted in his son getting run over by his own vehicle, but his daughter and others disagree. There is the smiling Grant Solomon. Here we go. This should give you a pretty good summary. I think I did some digging. I think this may be the best summary. Questions and controversy continue to surround a Tennessee teenager's death, which some claim was the result of a murder and not an accident like authorities and his father believe. According to the Tennessean, Grant Solomon, a high school senior and star baseball player at Grace Christian Academy in Franklin, had just turned 18 when he died on July 20th, 2020. An investigation determined Grant was killed after he was struck by his own car while in the parking lot of a baseball training club in Gallatin. A single person, Grant's father, former Nashville radio and television personality Aaron Solomon, witnessed the death, according to the outlet. In November 2021, protesters who insisted foul play was involved in Grant's death gathered at the state capitol in Nashville and urged the Gallatin PD to reinvestigate the case. The teenager's sister, Gracie, she is the younger sister to Grant, and his mother, Angelia, also known as Angie Solomon, have alleged the siblings' father, Aaron, was somehow involved in the deadly incident and claimed there are inconsistencies in the official police report. Gracie, now 16, which I'm going to tell you, I think she's much older than 16 now. I think that she may be closer to 20. Has also claimed she was abused by their father. In a YouTube video posted in May of 2021, she called Aaron a rapist, Molly man, a liar, and an unaliver. Gracie also alleged her brother feared that their father and his terrifying behavior and said she strongly believes Aaron unalived Grant. Aaron has not been charged in connection with his son's death or the alleged abuse of his daughter, and he adamantly denies any wrongdoing. In a lawsuit filed in March of 2022 against his ex-wife, Angie, Aaron claimed the allegations were part of a smear campaign recklessly carried out on social media. Now, a change.org petition launched by Aunt Jenny and directed at the Gallatin PD, the Sumner County Sheriff's Office, the TBI, Tennessee Bureau of Investigations, and the DA's office has garnered thousands of signatures supporting the demand for a new investigation into this case. The only witness was his father, Aaron, who says that Grant was run over by his own car in a freak accident. Nothing about this narrative makes sense. No real investigation was ever completed. For any of you that have followed the Karen Reed case, you're going to see some parallels here. There is very much a lack of investigation. There does seem to be zero interest in finding anything else out about what happened on that fateful day. And that will become more apparent as I get into some of the other information. According to the petition, the ME report shows Grant suffered blunt force trauma to his head as well as bruises. But the petitioner notes that this does not match Aaron's narrative that he was dragged across a parking lot into a rocky ditch. This will also be reminiscent of Ellen Greenberg for y'all. Grant and his father had a rocky relationship and he had alleged abuse in the past. Noting the clothing and shoes the teenager was wearing when he passed away did not have a scratch on them. The petition also alleges that Aaron's story continues to change. The 911 call in which he mentions 3 mysterious men who never came forward is difficult to listen to as Aaron refuses, you heard that right, refuses to go near his son. Aaron refused to have the truck examined and allegedly committed insurance fraud to try and get rid of it. It's hard to imagine a father could do this, but all we ask for is a fair, thorough, and unbiased investigation. There is more than enough cause for an investigation. That's all we are asking with this petition. If Mr. Solomon had nothing to do with the alleged incident, he should welcome the investigation, right? Sounds pretty simple. Sounds pretty easy. Don't y'all think? Did you do a deep dive, Ava? All on your own? Did you do a deep dive? You're gonna have some good tidbits for me? And I apologize, my drink right before I went live, I dropped it and it completely broke. And so now it has like funky sounds. So I apologize. See, there's that clunking. Okay, so that's kind of the basics of the case. I'm going to pull up the next tidbit of information I have for you. What do you want to do next? Do y'all want to go to the timeline? I think the timeline might be really super helpful. So let me get that going. And we will try. I was trying to zoom it open for myself because it gets a little tiny on the screen. It doesn't, none of it makes any sense. So you're right on track, Ava. Nothing makes sense. I'm going to try to get this so that we can actually see what's going on. This particular page. It's pretty tiny. Let me see. Bear with me, y'all. I had the other one zoomed way real big for us, and I've now lost all sense of memory to know how I actually did that. Well, we'll try to muddle through with this. And yeah, it doesn't make any sense because they don't look like, there it is. That's what I did. All righty. Let's see about this timeline. So Aaron and Angie got married in 2001 after a 6-week relationship, and with Angie pregnant with Grant. Grant was born in 2002, and even then, Aaron was, I have to be careful with the words. I need to try to get into the habit of this. He was bad man, and also did some actual things to Angie and berated her constantly. 2006 is when Gracie was born. Aaron to Angie in 2008 says, if you ever tell anyone anything, I will make sure you never see your kids again. Sounds like a fine, fine individual, doesn't he? I'm going to try to make this a little smaller for y'all because I think you're missing some of, there we go. Also in 2008 is when Angie discovers that Aaron is having various affairs and grooming underage girls, as well as hiring pay-for-play women. Angie feels she needs help due to the pain and stress she's experiencing with her marriage. She becomes Dr. Fortel's patient, but Aaron is opposed to the idea of her speaking alone to anyone. According to Angie, during that time, he'd sometimes stay with her at the hairdresser's in order to hear what she was talking about. Even at that time, he demanded secrecy. Aaron ends up joining the therapy sessions in which Dr. Fortel diagnoses Angie with PTSD and Aaron with an X addiction. Great start to the old marriage there. While he maintains, this is in 2011, and he was on Channel 4 at that time. While he maintains that he left voluntarily, according to Angie and other sources, Aaron is forced to resign from WSMV for having inappropriate materials on his work computer and his phone. I can tell you, I lived in the area around that time, and it was very abrupt that he was there and then he wasn't there. It wasn't like, oh, we're sending him off to a new career. Oh, bye-bye, Aaron. We wish you the best with all the new endeavors. It wasn't like that. It was like he was there, and then one day I turned it on, and he's not there anymore. In June of 2012, he receives an inheritance after his Aunt Ruth passes away and leaves him a multi-million-dollar trust. And that trust would start dispersing a year later, and that's when the behavior becomes more erratic. Angie starts to see Dr. Michael Reed, a psychiatrist, to help her cope with her not so nice husband and figure out how to get the kids and herself out of the situation safely. In early 2013, so we see things are continuing to escalate here. In early 2013, Nashville PD are called to the Solomon residence for a domestic disturbance. The responding EMT gave the following testimony. I will give you a synopsis. Basically, what it says is he arrived there, and after confronting Aaron became enraged and seemed to act like he was going to charge at the EMT and Angie. I got to drink again. Sorry. Stay hydrated, y'all. Okay. Also in 2013, Gracie tells her mom that her dad puts things inside her during bath time, and it is uncomfortable. Angie's horrified. She confronts Aaron. He admits to it, which is shocking to me, but tells her that if she does anything, he's gonna take the kids away from her. If she tells anyone or she tries to correct it in any way. With the help of Dr. Reed, so we're in 2013 at this point, Dr. Reed, Angie begins to plan how to get herself and the kids away from Aaron safely. She takes notes about this on her phone. He did state that he and his colleagues all remarked that we know who the instigator in this incident, this is referring back to the EMT arriving, that it was clear to the authorities that arrived there where the issue was. He stated that Aaron told him that his wife is mentally ill and had caused the trouble. However, when Angie Solomon and the two children exited the house, Aaron's demeanor quickly changed. He became red in the face, and his facial expression showed that he was very angry and agitated, and it was obvious that he was filled with rage. He stated that he recalled that Aaron made a few steps toward Angie, but was stopped by Nashville PD. Can you imagine doing that in front of a law enforcement officer? What in the world? I can't imagine behaving that way out of the gate. But then to behave that way, even though and even when you have an authority figure there, wow, that is some, I feel really good about myself kind of behavior. March of 2013, the counselor has been taking notes, and Angie's been writing notes in her phone about how she needs to get away from Aaron with the kids. One day she rushes out of the house, forgets her phone, and Aaron finds the notes and drops her phone in the toilet so that it would no longer work anymore. Then we have Aaron takes a check from Kenny Dallas's desk, makes it out to himself, and forges Mindy Hicks' signature. Are we seeing a pattern, anybody here? Entitlement. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're not kidding, Ava. That's exactly right. Entitlement. So obviously, that's going to put a kind of kink in things. 2013 seems like it was a banner year for him. Deposits the check and ends up getting caught. And then, of course, the trust fund starts. We're a year later. And so he starts to receive around $100,000 a month from May until August that year. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money, especially in a short period of time. Shortly, this is on now the 9th of May, 2013. Shortly after midnight, Aaron tries to strangle Angie with a hairdryer cord. Grant, that would be her oldest child, witnesses the whole thing, but at that time, neither Grant nor Angie told anyone. Grant is terrified. Angie wants to protect her son from Aaron and from having to testify in court. So she lies. Aaron lies to the hospital and Angie's parents and says that Angie tried to unalive herself. Because that's how you roll if you're Aaron Solomon. The next day, Angie takes the kids to school and even chaperones a field trip. When she gets back home, Aaron and her parents are waiting for her. They force her to go to Parthenon Centennial, telling hospital staff that she had tried to unalive herself. Speaking with Dr. Murphy, Angie explains that she did not try to unalive herself. She tells him what really happened, that Aaron had knocked her around and that he had tried to unalive her himself the day before. Parthenon Centennial decides to keep her overnight to protect her from Aaron and her parents. She was advised to get a restraining order against Aaron and was granted one. Then the day after that, Angie returns home from Centennial Parthenon. Aaron and the children are gone. She tries to contact him. None of her calls are answered. She has no idea where they went. The day after that, Angie hopes that she's going to see Aaron and her kids because it was Mother's Day. How awful of her to want to actually be with her children on Mother's Day. So demanding. ridiculous. He's not around. Instead, he called the Metro Nashville Police Department, lies and tells them that Angie is wanting to unalive herself again. When police show up, it's clear to them that she is not wanting to unalive herself, and they leave without taking any further action. The kids are still gone. Angie realizes that Aaron is making good on his threat to take the children from her. This continues, y'all. This is still just 2013. We are still 7 years from when Grant actually lost his life. This gives you a flavor for the amount of psychological warfare that was going on in that marriage at that time. It continues and continues. It inevitably, one of them files for divorce, and inevitably from there, it ends up involving their church. And I'm trying to get to that part here. That is a picture in 2014 of Gracie after she had been with her father for 6 months. She also is still talking about the actual bad behavior that is being conducted on her. More pictures here of a crying young Gracie, and some pictures of the inside of her legs after being with Aaron. This is when they get the church involved, and the church decides they're going to pray it away. I am all about prayer, y'all, but at some point, prayer is not going to get the job done, and action needs to take place, especially if you have any ability to take action. So the church gets involved, the sheriff gets involved. All of these people are all connected way back. This is 2018 now, so we're getting a little closer to the time when things really go off the rails. Yeah. Offers prayers. Well, that's good. You're not going to pray it away. You're going to have to actually do something, folks. We progress. Grant becomes increasingly concerned about Gracie and leaving Gracie with Aaron. And so he kind of takes on the role of her protector and ensures that he spends as much time as possible with her, so that he knows Aaron is not going to do anything to her as long as he's around. And this is really common in families where there is abuse. A lot of times siblings will cover for each other and try to protect each other, so that sometimes it makes it a healthier environment for both parties and not necessarily just one. Also in August of 2018, yes, they were granted a guardian ad litem. If anyone followed the Alec Murdaugh case, you know exactly what a guardian ad litem is. They were granted that because in 2018, both Grant and Gracie ran away from their home that they were sharing with Aaron. Aaron has the sheriffs come pick up the kids and teaching them not to disobey again. He wants the police to scare them. And that is when the guardian ad litem was appointed for both Gracie and Grant. And then just days after that was granted, After bringing Grant to a baseball tournament in Cary, North Carolina, Aaron says that he and Gracie have to return to Nashville for a court hearing the next day. Gracie messages her mother. They stop at a hotel in Asheville, North Carolina. Aaron books a hotel room with one bed. Gracie describes this traumatic event in her video. She alleges her father touched her inappropriately and roped her during that night. The next day, there is a preliminary custody hearing that is held, and after the hearing, Aaron takes Gracie back to Cary, North Carolina. Do you think Gracie feels like anyone is protecting her at this point? Things continue. The Christian Academy is aware of the situation. They will later deny that they knew anything going on. It finally, when they see Magistrate Jacques Cabell, he conducts a new hearing on whether to remove Gracie and Grant from the care of their father. Grant's friends appear to testify, but the magistrate refuses to hear them. He agrees to watch the forensic interview that was done, interview he declined at the last hearing. He doesn't even watch the whole tape, instead interrupts it and says, "I've seen enough." At first, he promises that both children can stay with their mother. This is when the picture of him and Wynn celebrating is taken. And then later, he decides that Gracie will stay with her mother for now, but then decides Grant is a big boy and that he can take care of himself. Way to go. Just take care of yourself. Whew. Sometimes I really wonder, what are judges thinking when they make decisions like this? They ran away again in September from their father's home. And then 2019, Deanna Johnson, I'm trying to remember how she plays into this. She filed a petition. Oh, Deanna Johnson is the judge. That's right. Angie is the one that filed a petition for dependent neglect. In that, Judge Johnson dismisses the case out of hand and instead labels Angie an knock-around litigant, barring her from filing any motions against Aaron for the next 4 years until Gracie is 18. Great system. July 20th, 2020. Grant is tragically killed under suspicious circumstances. Aaron is the only witness, and the story does not add up. So, based on all of that leading up to the day of the accident, because that is what it is claimed to be at this particular time, an accident, that gives you a little bit of background. I'm going to pull up some photos of what it looked like. Hang on just a second here. Got to make sure I get all my stuff in the right place, so bear with me. There's stuff coming, I promise. Scene photos. All right, let's see what we got here. Let me pop it on over to you and see what we see. Okay. Here we are, Grant's death. That is the scene of the truck where it ended up on July 20th, 2020. I'll try to see if some of these pictures make it a little clearer. Where the truck ended up landing, the I'm going to see if you can see. No, you're not going to see my cursor. Okay, this is a better picture here. So where those individuals are standing up against the building, that's where the truck was parked. And the claim is that the truck rolled all the way back down that parking lot area and then went in the ditch, and then, of course, had to get the butt end of the vehicle out of the ditch to land where it is. I'm going to see if I can find some better pictures here. Perfect. Okay. Let me get this thing a little bigger for y'all, because we need to see. Y'all need to see what's happening here. So I presume that other vehicle that is there is Aaron Solomon's vehicle. This building back here is where they were going. It's a sports center to practice batting and pitching and things like that with baseball. Grant was a very, very athletic young man. He was a phenomenal baseball player and had a very bright future in sports. So that's why they were there that day. I can see where the vehicle, the truck could go down. Can y'all see my cursor? The truck could go down the hill here, and then I think the butt could end up landing where the front of the vehicle is right now. I have trouble with momentum and physics getting it in the position that it's in. It's strange to me. So you see here, like, this is pretty steep, and then it goes back up a little bit. Am I just tripping? Does that make any sense to any of y'all? Because it doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, none. Just none. I got nothing. I'm going to scroll back up here and see if we can do better on some of the other pictures here. Bear with me now that I have it like mega zoomed for everybody. Okay. So this gives you a little bit of reference. You can see how much there's a lot of grass, and I mean, you can kind of make out a tire track here, I suppose, but like, what did it go? Is this the driver's side? And what's your, hang on just a second, your question. I thought there was something about the truck going forward from the road. No. That might be one of the renditions of stories that Aaron has purported. But the original story was it rolled down that area and landed here. Now, also notice, y'all, there's all that, what do you call those, big rocks, stones or something under the truck. And I don't really see any other damage to the truck either. So it's just odd. So let me see. This gives you a slightly different angle on the vehicle. It's just weird. For me, this is right up there with Ellen Greenberg. It kind of defies physics for me. He ended up, I think it might say here where. Oh, is that what you're talking about, Ava? That shows the vehicle drove forward? I am so sorry. Yeah. Vehicle drove forward, tire track. So that wooden piece that you see here is the Gallatin Fire Department. They put it around or up to the tire so that it wouldn't move, the vehicle wouldn't move anymore. But you can see these strange tire track marks that it doesn't add up. Let me go to another picture since I'm on like super mega here. So let me go back. It's the white one. Okay. So the picture we were just looking at, I'm trying to get you centered a little better here. This is the white piece of wood that they put there. So the vehicle then went forward after it came down here, didn't really seem to bother any of this stuff here, and then popped down here and then popped back up and then went back forward. I don't mean to laugh, but this is insanity. This reminds me of so many other crazy cases that don't make any sense at all. I don't understand it. And if memory serves me, he stated that Grant was found under the front tire of the truck. Here you see again, right there. Look at those nice, beautiful tire tracks right there. Don't those look very clear? Easy to see, huh? And let's go over and see what this other picture is. I am not entirely sure what this picture is. It probably says here. Let's see. Oh, this was likely where they found his glasses and such. After the fact, that's what I think it says. Yeah, his glasses, and I think there was a hat that was also found in that same general area, which would lead you to believe that's where he was hit and not dragged down like his father says. I'm going to try not to do an oogie picture to you all. Nobody wants oogie pictures. I mean, I don't mind them at all, but I will not do that to y'all. So he was found, under the driver's side front tire. So I'm going to breeze past this because there's some ooginess. So I'm going to just keep on going. The bumper doesn't really appear to have any. I mean, it's dislodged a little bit, but I mean, not what I would anticipate to be the issue, or what it should be anyway. Let me scroll over here. That's the pavement, by the way. Don't you think if you were dragged on the pavement, on this particular pavement, you might have some road rash? I don't know. Just kind of throwing it out there. I think there might be a little bit of road rash. Nope, not on Grant. He's like Superman. His skin, it doesn't show scrapes. Mm-hmm. So this is why there are questions on this case. So this gives you a little bit better idea. This area here is where I'm trying. My cursor is behind me on this, so bear with me. That front tire is where he was found, reportedly. It does appear that there is an issue there because there is some blood on the rocks in that area as well. The only injury he had, remember, was to the back of his head. Who does this sound like? Who else do we know that passed away from a head injury to the back and really didn't have any other injuries, life-threatening injuries on their entire body? I don't know. Could it be John O'Keefe? Yeah, kind of similar, Although this one, I mean, I personally think, it's just me spitballing, I think that his father likely whacked him with a baseball bat, and then he was placed in this particular situation. That's my take on it. Now, I could be completely off base. This is the other area to the, if you're looking at the building, this would be to the left of where the vehicle, where the truck was found. And then we have the hospital reports. Let's talk about that for a minute. Y'all want to hear and see what his actual injuries were? No, none of this is oogie, I promise. It's all very, very easy. Let me make this a little smaller, though. There we go. My son Grant and I pulled into WPI separately, parked side by side. This is Aaron's account of what happened that day. That day. I was still in my car, but noticed my son get out to get his baseball gear out of the back of his truck. I looked down to check a work email, and the next thing I know, I hear and see the truck rolling backwards into the ditch. I get out of my car to try to find my son and saw that he was trapped underneath the truck, and I immediately called 911. And I'm not going to play the 911 call. I mean, unless y'all want to listen to it, it's a little, it enrages me. I have to be really careful. I don't want to be a rageful person, but I mean, Kelsey Fitzsimmons, it's crazy town. Then he tried to get rid of the vehicle entirely and make an insurance claim on the vehicle, and the insurance company refused to cooperate in that sense because it wasn't a total vehicle. Here is more information. Mr. Hall was asked to step outside with investigators. He was shown a photograph of the 2015 Toyota Tundra truck, which was taken on July 20th, 2020, in the ditch in front of WPI. He was asked to recall exactly how Grant Solomon's body was lying under the truck. He stated that to the best of his memory, Grant's head was barely visible behind the front driver's side tire, and his body was positioned diagonally toward the back tire passenger side. He advised that when he came out of the WPI building, he saw Aaron Solomon on his cell phone pacing up and down. He said that he could hear Aaron telling Grant that help was on the way. Mr. Hall advised that he and Tyler Mark were the only two employees at WPI, and neither of them were in the front where they could observe the incident. He also advised that both he and Tyler, thought something was wrong with the way Aaron was describing what happened. He also advised that he remembers that someone found Grant's glasses, hat, and cell phone in the ditch after the scene was cleared, but he did not know who had found these items. A business card was left with Mr. Hall, and he was asked to call if he had any other information to share. So, are y'all thinking it's an accident still? Are we still on the accident? This is another supplemental statement, but what I want to get to is Here we go. His socks and shoes went with his mother, and the patient was with father about to practice pitching. Put car in park, got out and went to get baseball bat out of the back of a truck. Dad thinks truck was not in park. Truck rolled back on patient, dragging him down a hill and into a ditch. Well, not into the ditch and out of the ditch too. It's magical. It's a magical ditch that you can go in it and then pop right back out of it. EMS and fire arrived, extricated patient from under the truck. EMS intubated the patient, started an I assume that's IV to lower left extremity. CPR in progress. And no autopsy requested. Of course not. Why would you request an autopsy? Good grief. I mean, I would want to know as his father. I mean, he was 18 at the time. You don't want to think that he's doing any sort of illicit drugs or something, or maybe there was a medication interaction that caused him to become disoriented. Like, I'd kind of want to know, but nope, not if you're Aaron Solomon. You don't. Not requested. No post-mortem exam. No autopsy. We are good. It's all good in Gallatin. This is a diagram of what Grant's actual injuries were at the time he was brought into the emergency room. You can see he has a laceration to the back of his skull. He has some needle marks. There is a little bit of a abrasion on the hip. Oh, you know what? I bet that's probably for medical care as well. And that's it. That's all, y'all. That's all that was wrong with him. What in the world? Let's talk about some physics here. I mean, I don't have blue paint, so I hope y'all aren't going to be disappointed with that, but I don't have blue paint to show exactly how this truck really couldn't have hit Grant in the way that they are stating. It was 6 feet 3 inches tall. This is what his size would be next to the vehicle. Hey, by the way, I always forget this part. Hit the like button if you're enjoying the information I'm giving. That's great if y'all could do that. But you can see he's significantly taller than the vehicle. So it begs the question, would there be enough momentum? Would there be enough distribution to throw him off enough to drag him down that paved area? I mean, that's pretty significant. That's a foot difference in size compared to the profile of the Toyota truck. Yes, we have delved into the history of domestic violence, protocol for blunt traumatic arrest. These were his shoes and socks, and we can't see very well in this picture. Rentschler would do great. I know. I'd love to have someone do a reconstruction on this one, like a real one, not Mr. Judd Welcher blue paint man. No, like a real reconstruction. I feel like, and y'all can tell me if you think differently, but I feel like there should be maybe scrapes and things on his tennis shoes if he was being dragged, and like, these look pretty pristine, do they not? Like, I'm thinking they look clean, like good looking. And yes, Boston girl, blue paint is expensive. Well, it was expensive to the Commonwealth of Massachusetts because they paid a lot of money for that bunk. That was a lot of money. Holy smokes. But yeah, don't you think that there would be more evidence of scraping or something? This just doesn't, it doesn't jive for me. So I am outraged. I want justice for Angie. And you're going to see in a minute why it's important to me to get justice for Angie. She It's really, really an awful situation. And as a mom, I'm not entirely sure what I would do in this situation, but she ultimately, because of the frustration and the lack of involvement from local law enforcement, from anyone up the chain, the DA's office, even her church, her children's schools, she was not getting any support from anyone. Sometimes we make bad choices when we are feeling desperate and wronged. And unfortunately, in Angie's case, the way she thought and chose to go was to hire a hitman to take out Aaron Solomon. Unfortunately, the individual she was trying to hire was an undercover police officer. And so she was immediately arrested and taken into custody. She is now currently, my understanding is that she's on house arrest. She is not actually in jail. I am in no way, and this is part of the reason I waited so long in this particular live stream to talk about Angie, because I don't think it's right to discount what happened to Grant because his mother has made an awful choice in how to cope with and deal with her son and daughter's father. That being said, I in no way condone the fact that she chose to hire a hitman. No, that's wrong. But I'm afraid because of that behavior, a lot of people are going to discount what happened to Grant and think it was just that all of the questions that are being raised are just a disgruntled and grieving, crazy mother. And I don't think that's fair. And I don't want that to be the narrative for Angie. I cannot imagine losing a child. And so I give a lot of grace to her in this particular situation. But I don't want to lose sight of what has happened with Grant is wrong. There needs to be more done to try to figure out what actually happened to him. He was intending with his younger sister, Gracie, to go to the authorities yet again and support a lot of the domestic violence claims that existed. And I personally believe that is exactly why this particular situation took place on that day in July in 2020. I think Aaron panicked. I think he knew that his son was an exceptionally credible witness and would be believed. And we don't even know the full story of what Grant would have said. It might even be worse than what we actually know up to this point. I fully believe that was the motivation behind it. I fully believe there were not three people there trying to revive and take care of Grant. I absolutely believe it is odd behavior to not run down and try to do anything you possibly can to revive someone, especially a loved one. You know what I think of about this is I think of Karen Reed running to John's body and throwing her body on top of it to try to heat him up with her own body heat. This was not even her own direct blood relative. This was a man she loved. When you have a child, I don't understand that. That's a level of sociopath I'm unable to reconcile in my brain. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. All of those things add up to me to question the validity of the story that Aaron Solomon has been spewing for many, many years. At the bare minimum, it needs more investigation. And I say this all the time. I say this about all of the players that have been involved in several other cases, not just the Karen Reed case, but the Adelson case. And if you don't want people to think you're guilty, don't act guilty. And my concern, again, with this case is Aaron acts guilty. He acts like he has something to hide. He has different stories. He has a lot of connections in the Nashville area, in Davidson County, in Williamson County, and in Sumner County. He lived, probably still does, lives in Williamson County. The accident took place in Gallatin, which is in Sumner County, and the Nashville PD is in Davidson County. All three of those counties he has connections to, mostly because of the amount of time he spent at WSMV as a news anchor. So it begs the question, are there favors being paid? What's the real story behind it? But at the bare minimum, not enough has been done for Gracie, for Grant, and for Angie. And that's one of the main reasons I wanted to cover this case. I know I haven't had a lot of people that have come on tonight to see this because it isn't known. It isn't an Aaron Spencer. It isn't Turtle Boy. It isn't some very well-known case or something that's happening in Massachusetts. But unfortunately, this type of questionable, I hate to say behavior, but it is behavior, questionable investigative tactics or lack thereof is not only a product of messy Massachusetts instead of messy Massachusetts. They're just Massachusetts. They are a mess. It's more than that. And we need to make sure that we keep our eyes and ears open and do as much as we possibly can to bring light to these situations. I mean, look at how corrupt the Low Country. Oh my gosh, I go back to Alec Murdoch. That was a lot of corruption. It can exist anywhere. And so if there's anything I can do at all to get the word out, please tell other people about this case. Ask them to watch my live stream to see the summary and the rundown for it. I feel like if you see what the evidence shows, it's kind of like Ellen Greenberg. It's a no-brainer. You know there's something more going on than what was ruled by a medical examiner. So on that note, I guess my rant may be over now. I can tell you that I'm really close to 1,000 subscribers. So if you know anybody that wants to come subscribe, that'd be awesome. That's my next little level goal that I've set for myself. So by all means, make sure that you hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notify. I did just firm up today that Lady Zelda and myself will be doing a combined live stream next Wednesday evening. We have not conversed about what we're going to talk about, but we're going to be together. And I think I'm pretty sure I'm going to her house. So either one of us, you can catch it. I really truly appreciate everyone that listened to this case tonight. Anyone that listens on replay, I cannot thank you enough. If you can at all help to get the word out, that's all I can do. If enough people know about it, we can maybe try to push some local local law enforcement to do something. In the famous words of Jen McCabe, do something, right? That's what she says all the time. Well, at least that's what it appears she says all the time. Yes, I'm excited to be with Lady Zelda on Wednesday. So make sure that you put that notification on. I am going to get ready to go watch some football. I think it's probably going to be a blowout since it's the Buffalo Bills and the Miami Dolphins, and I don't have a whole lot of hope for the Dolphins tonight. Not really a fan of either team, but I love football. So as always, everybody, please, it doesn't cost a penny to be kind to someone. So please make sure you do something nice for someone each and every day. And also, as always, make good choices. Thanks, and I hope to see you next time.